and welcome to St. Lucia Magazine, your weekly roundup of the nation's top stories in education, the economy, infrastructure, agriculture, and more. I am your host, Nival Auguste. In this edition, CARICOM leaders pursue solutions to lower the cost of living, and the CARICOM Secretary General calls for faster action on regional decisions. As the 51st regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM came to a close, leaders outlined plans to reduce the cost of essential goods through trade policy reforms and expand renewable energy to lessen the region's dependence on imported fuels. Desli Poyot reports.
The 51st regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM has concluded, with the regional leaders addressing questions from the media on issues affecting the Caribbean community. Among the topics discussed were long-term solutions for the region's high cost of living, including trade policy and energy security. Prime Minister for Barbados, Honorable Mia Mottley, explained how proposed trade measures could help lower prices across the Caribbean.
OTED, which as you know is a subcommittee of an organ of the community, has also been looking at making adjustments to the common external tariff on some of the basic food items in the region. And some countries have already asked for different arrangements to be put in place so that they can remove the common external tariff, which will reduce the cost of goods. Right now in the community, we agreed to a common external tariff to protect regional production. But over the decades, there have been some items that remain there while there is no regional production, in fact, in place. So we're trying to clean up all of that, because ultimately, if we sweep every corner clean, we will be able to have cumulative reductions in the cost of living.
In addition to trade measures, regional leaders also highlighted energy security as a key long-term solution. Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, said reducing the region's dependence on imported fuels through renewable energy investments is critical to lowering the cost of living over the long-term period.
Into that with renewable energy can really help from our perspective to transform the Caribbean, to transform the region, and help us to get on a sustainable path of really managing the cost of living of all of our people here in the region. So that is one of our proposals that we are putting forward.
Discussions highlighted the importance of regional action in addressing economic pressures against global challenges, as leaders stressed the importance of unity and cooperation. Reporting for the Government Information Service, I am Desli Poyot.
CARICOM Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett is urging regional leaders to move beyond discussion and accelerate the implementation of key community decisions. CARICOM Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett has challenged regional leaders to accelerate implementation of key decisions at the opening ceremony of the 51st regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM. Dr. Barnett said regional integration has always been rooted in practical cooperation, allowing member states to better withstand global economic and geopolitical challenges while creating greater opportunities for Caribbean people. Highlighting achievements including expanded free movement, progress under the CARICOM single market and economy, increased agricultural production, and stronger international partnerships, she said the region must now focus on delivering on outstanding commitments.
We have to do what is necessary to implement key outstanding aspects of the CSME, such as capital market institutions, payments and settlement systems, and expanding movement of persons. This requires greater focus and action, not only at the regional level in the ministerial councils of the community, but also at the national level to ensure necessary consultations, parliamentary approvals, and any other actions necessary to ensure national implementation of regional decisions.
Dr. Barnett also identified climate change, food security, Haiti's security crisis, and greater engagement of youth and civil society as critical issues requiring coordinated regional action. She said the meeting's theme, From Resilience to Renewal, should guide leaders toward practical solutions that strengthen the community and improve the lives of its people.
To move from resilience to renewal, as this meeting's theme urges, requires active recognition that as architects of this region's future, we should work in unison to shape our own destiny on our own terms.
Dr. Barnett expressed confidence that through stronger collaboration and decisive implementation of regional decisions, CARICOM can continue delivering meaningful benefits for its citizens while advancing sustainable development and resilience. Guest speaker at the 51st CARICOM Heads of Government Conference, Raheem Augustine Joseph, is calling on regional leaders to deepen Caribbean integration and accelerate long-standing reforms. He says institutions such as the Caribbean Court of Justice and the University of the West Indies have strengthened the community, but greater political will is needed to fully realize the vision of regional unity. Desley Poyot tells us more.
CARICOM leaders are being urged to step up efforts on regional integration with calls for greater unity and faster progress. Addressing the 51st CARICOM Heads of Government Conference, guest speaker Raheem Augustine warned that progress on key regional reforms can no longer be delayed. He said the court has made justice more accessible and reinforced CARICOM citizens' rights to free movement across the region.
Our justice is therefore no longer coming, in some instances, from London, but from Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. In fact, it is this CCJ some 13 years ago in Shanique Mairi, which told us that the Caribbean citizens have a right to unencumbered movement without harassment, without impediment, and ensuring a sense of community belonging within this region.
Augustine Joseph added that the Caribbean must continue strengthening its regional institutions to better shape its own future. However, he noted that regional integration remains incomplete and called on leaders to build the progress already achieved.
The CCJ must therefore be the final court of appeal within this Caribbean jurisdiction. And it is because we have not been doomed forever that we've been able to create the University of the West Indies, which for decades have ensured the creation of brilliant Caribbean minds, where every office in this region is filled with these brilliant minds who've studied at the UWI.
He acknowledged that the implementation of the CARICOM single market and economy remains incomplete, but said regional integration must be guided by core principles.
I have not spoken about the lack of implementation of the CSME in some respects. I could go on and on and on. But what I will say is that the litany of prescriptions must never be divorced from the principles that must establish this Caribbean integration movement. Our principles must be the seasoning that is embedded in all of our decisions and conversations. And whether it be principles, Prime Minister, as the founder of your country, friends of all and satellites of none, whether it be respect for the rule of law, whether it be non-discrimination of people, whether it is ensuring that the Caribbean remains a zone of peace, all of these principles have to continue to be embedded within the decisions that you make.
Joseph urged CARICOM leaders to put regional interest above national differences, noting that decisions at the conference will shape the future of Caribbean integration. Reporting for the Government Information Service, I am Desley Poyot.
Still to come, Dr. Jean Leo speaks on reparatory justice. Stay with us.
Carnival is a time to celebrate our culture, to have fun, and to enjoy good food. Among all these festivities, let's make sure food safety is part of the celebration too. As you enjoy the Carnival season, remember these simple food safety tips. Choose food from clean, licensed vendors. Make sure hot foods are served hot and cold foods are served cold. Practice good hand hygiene. Wash hands before eating. Play your part in preventing foodborne illness this carnival. Choose safe food and practice good hand hygiene. Together, we can keep the carnival safe and healthy for everyone.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Nutrition.
Welcome back. A check alone cannot deliver reparatory justice, according to Executive Director of the Development Bank for Resilient Prosperity, Ambassador Dr. Jean Leon. True justice means redesigning development to prevent historical injustices from recurring. Addressing regional policymakers, academics, and development experts at the CARICOM Reparations Forum, Executive Director of the Development Bank for Resilient Prosperity, Ambassador Dr. Jean Leon, said reparatory justice must be viewed as a blueprint for sustainable development rather than simply financial compensation. He argued that lasting justice depends on removing the structural conditions that allowed historical injustice to occur.
When we do this, reparatory justice becomes something far greater than a settlement, because it does two things at the same time. It rights the wrong that was done. That's what we are now saying. But it also removes the reason that wrong could be done again. So it is the one that repairs, is the one repair that does not have to be repeated. But if we do not put the reason why the wrong occurred on the exit lane, then we are guaranteeing that in the future we will be back asking for more of the reparations that we are talking about.
Dr. Leo said lasting reparatory justice requires a fundamental shift in how development is measured, urging policymakers to value human, natural, and social capital alongside economic growth. He warned that compensation alone would fail if the systems that created inequality remain unchanged.
Unless we change the counting, we are merely agreeing on the price of a mistake we fully intend to keep making. Can I repeat that? Yes. So, the debts that we have now, whether it's slavery debt, climate change debt, inequality debt, that debt was manufactured by a system of counting, the zero price that we have argued, and that unless we change the counting from zero price to something else, then we are merely agreeing among ourselves on the price of a mistake that we fully intend to keep making. Because if we don't change the system, we will continue to have additional debt after we have cleared the current debt.
He also called on CARICOM to champion reforms that would integrate reparations into a broader development strategy, ensuring investments build resilience and prevent future injustice, rather than simply addressing the consequences of the past.
Let the community, CARICOM, add the pillar that is missing today, the repositioning pillar. So negotiate reparations not as a check, but as a single integrated portfolio of rescue, recovery, and redesign, with the non-recurrence written into the terms. That is how we make certain that there is no invoice in 21-26.
The conference continues to strengthen regional efforts to advance reparatory justice, with discussions focused on moving from advocacy to practical implementation through policy, financing, and sustainable development. For the Government Information Service, I am Nival Auguste. St. Lucia will host the International Poverty Forum for the first time in 2027 as the government strengthens partnerships aimed at tackling poverty and improving social protections. More in this report.
The government of St. Lucia, through the Department of Equity, Social Justice, Gender and Older Persons, will for the first time host the International Poverty Forum from March 18th to 20th, 2027. The announcement followed a special outreach by Dr. Aislinn Richmond Shockley, founder and CEO of Caring for Others, who marked her 69th birthday by a handover of food and care packages to clients of the Department of Equity. Held on July 9th, the occasion brought together ministry stakeholders and representatives of Caring for Others as a gesture of solidarity with those most in need, while also signaling the start of a wider partnership focused on coordinated social protection and poverty response. Dr. Shockley's nearly 3 decades of humanitarian work reflects a lifelong commitment to service, shaped by her own experience and values of responsibility and compassion.
In the words of the great Nelson Mandela, poverty is a crime of humanity. Today, so many people around this world commit a crime by not taking care of the least of these. I have been called to do this work. Today, God has blessed me that I'm here with you in St. Lucia, and I'm grateful. My grandmother told me, as we were growing up so poor, she said to me, "Lady of the Moon, one day you're gonna be better. And when things get better, remember to look back and pick up those people behind you."
Caring for Others is a human services non-profit organization working internationally to support individuals and families affected by poverty through feeding, clothing, education, and housing-related assistance. The International Poverty Forum, operating as a program of Caring for Others, advances the mission of uniting leaders and communities in eradicating the disease of poverty by connecting dialogue with action and focusing on basic needs, opportunity, and dignity. For the Department of Equity, this partnership reflects a broader mandate to support vulnerable persons not only through direct assistance, but through relationships that reduce hardship, strengthen resilience, and create pathways to opportunity. Speaking at the donation ceremony, His Excellency Ambassador at Large Dr. Claudius Preville described the partnership as part of the government's wider people-centered development agenda, noting that policies and international engagements should have practical relevance in the lives of ordinary citizens.
At the end of the day, one of the most important things is how do we impact the lives of ordinary people, ordinary citizens? Because sometimes we do those complicated trade agreements and we do not have something practical and workable for the people of our countries. I have to say that. I've been doing it for the last 20 years. And I can tell you, not all the agreements actually work for us in the way our negotiators actually intend. So when this initiative was raised, and Dr. Shockley also offered us to see, I was invited to Atlanta to see firsthand the type of facility that she has, the setup, the warehousing, the staff. You know, I saw videos of the different interventions done over the last 10 years in the forums, and also in general, more than 28 years, she has dedicated her life working to help people eradicate poverty.
The 2027 International Poverty Forum is expected to move the conversation around social protection beyond relief and distribution, bringing together governments and change makers to examine practical strategies that help prevent persons and families from falling deeper into poverty while improving support for those already affected.
The help you give me, and God will work for me to see you again. And tonight, I must go and sleep well in your future, in your work, in your health, God will open a long way for you.
St. Lucia is taking another step toward evidence-based policy making as officials review findings from the country's latest Multiple Indicator Cluster Survey, or MICS-7. The survey provides one of the most comprehensive assessments of social and economic conditions on the island, offering critical data to guide future development policies and to measure progress toward the Sustainable Development Goals. Glenn Simon reports.
St. Lucia is laying the groundwork for smarter national planning as government officials, development partners and policymakers review findings from the country's latest Multiple Indicator Cluster Survey, commonly known as MICS-7. The survey, implemented by the Central Statistical Office CSO with technical support from UNICEF, captures a broad range of social and economic indicators that will help guide future policy decisions and measure the country's progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals. Database systems engineer at the CSO, Patrick Dujon, pointed out that the survey provides information that extends far beyond traditional statistics.
In terms of the CSO, it provides us a vast range of data that sometimes are not collected by some of our external partners or ministries on St. Lucia. Being the central repository for all data, being able to conduct such a survey and housing such data is critical for us. Everything is driven through data, which is like the world's new oil. So in terms of infecting good policy, the MICS is one of the surveys I see that provides a multifaceted approach to various data points that are not necessarily connected for our administrative data.
For the first time, the survey includes men alongside women and children, providing a more complete picture of life in St. Lucia. Among the areas examined are nutrition, education, mental health, internet access, sanitation, drinking water quality, financial inclusion, domestic violence, menstrual health, child development, and attitudes towards disability.
Being a male as myself, the first thing I note is that men were actually assessed during that data on the same level that the women were assessed. The data looks at the socioeconomic data for women, specifically 15 to 49, children under 5, children between 5 to 17, and then it looks at men 15 to 49 and boys 5 to 17.
MICS-7 also examined the unmet needs of women and men, as well as the availability and attitudes towards mental health among young people aged 15 to 24. UNICEF also supported the survey from its design stage in 2024 through data collection and now the final interpretation process. Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation Officer with UNICEF's Eastern Caribbean Area Office, Tashana Providence Ford, says the workshop focused on validating the information before publication.
So now we are at the data interpretation and report compilation aspect of MICS, and this is where the data will be validated. So the data that was collected on the ground, our various stakeholders within the various ministries here throughout St. Lucia are here to question that data. And so once we have their approval, we will now have the final report that will be written, as well as some snapshots of the information that was collected on the ground from the persons within St. Lucia.
Providence Ford says the survey generates internationally comparable high-quality data that will enable policymakers to identify critical gaps, better target resources where they are needed most, and monitor national development priorities. Once the validation process is complete, the final report and accompanying statistical snapshots will be released nationally, providing government agencies, researchers, development partners, and the public with one of the most comprehensive pictures of social conditions in St. Lucia. For the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, Glenn Simon reporting.
Coming up next, Carnival 2026. St. Lucia celebrates another successful season of mass music and culture.
Hand up in the sky, hand up in the sky, this is Carnival. Hand up in the sky, hand up.
Sex is fun, sweet, and nice. But remember to condomize. Keep it safe, keep it real. Prep to protect from HIV. Make this Carnival season a lasting memory for all the right reasons.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Nutrition.
Welcome back. After weeks of competitions and festivities, St. Lucia Carnival 2026 culminated with a spectacular display of music, mass and cultural expression. Thousands lined the streets to witness the parade of the bands, capping off what organizers have described as another successful carnival season. We leave you now with the highlights from the celebrations.
Lucia Carnival mad.
Your two national carnival queens for 2026, Faith Edward, Miss St. Lucia Tourism Authority,
and Niley Lewis, Miss Bank of St. Lucia.
Truly a historic moment in St. Lucia Carnival.
The ladies have it covered. Ladies, make some noise for ready. Our Calypso Queen.
Be very careful what you ask for, but you might suddenly get it. When the Kupa all your life you go regret it. In confidence you wish for power. Jeppy to ring the bell, but by the first bell it was over. Blessing it's too much to recover. And so when twice you have and when the ring it's like hell saying we could do sell.
Republic Bank, Panorama Champions, 2026, Courts, Babano, Still Orchestra.
Representing the Bordelais Correctional Facility, ladies and gentlemen, your 2026 Inter-Commercial House Monarch is Kaifu Ka.
But tell the young men out there, crime does not really pay. From jail, please stay away. Put down the guns today. We're gonna send a signal up to the heavens to all our women who lost their lives through domestic violence.
Yo, yes, 2026.
And now, your 2026 Power Monarch. Give it up for Ezra, the Fun Machine.
Everybody now, start to run. All around.
Your king of the band, the portrayal, Monte Zuma, guardian of Aztec Gold, representing Tribe of 12, Jordan O'Shea, and your queen of the band, the portrayal, Nubia, branch of the Blue Nile, representing Tribe of 12, Sharon Tanner.
DYP is the band, let we give them the master plan. Get in your section, stand at attention, hold your formation, and wait for the instruction. Get in your section, stand at attention, hold your formation, instruction. We coming down the road like the military. Real bacchanal soldiers in your territory. Move out of the way anytime you see we. I am the sergeant, judge, I want you to follow me.
Go your way, and I'll go my way. We done. We done. Just go your way, and I'll go my way. We done. Music. Yes, we had a fling.
And with that, we wrap up this edition of St. Lucia Magazine. A heartfelt thank you to everyone who contributed to this production: the National Television Network, the GIS team, and the communications officers across government ministries. Thank you for watching NTN Channel 122 and following the official social media platforms of the Government of St. Lucia. I am Nivaldo Geist. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged as we continue tracking St. Lucia's progress.